It was hoped that the time on the road would help the band gel once again. And sure enough, by the time the tour climaxed, their live show was better than ever. The cracks that had emerged over the past few years had not been fully papered over, but the signs of a revival were there. When recording recommenced, it was in their native Oxfordshire. With the ghosts of the Rack studio sessions laid to rest, it was hoped that Radiohead could now finally turn the corner and fulfil their undoubted potential.
We'd released the Bends and we'd ended up in that weird Netherland being liked by other bands instead of actually, you know, it was just whenever we came to America anyway, the only people who seemed to sort of know of us were like other local bands and other, you know, and that was just a bit weird.
After a more successful spell of recording, they were once again interrupted by live commitments. The band headed to Mexico for a series of summer dates, but it soon became apparent that tensions still hung in the air. Once and for all, it had to be sorted out. A meeting was arranged where all the problems were aired, and it became clear that one of the main problems lay in the astonishing success of Creep. Whereas before Radiohead had understood their position within the bigger picture, suddenly they were superstars. However, it was not on the merits of a great album, but solely because of one song. What they found troubling was that the lyrical content of Creep had stereotyped Radiohead as a tormented, depressed indie band that would only appeal to a certain audience. This was not the image they wanted to project. Following this latest conference, Radiohead returned from their tour, now ready to complete the album, and put this alarming chapter behind them. Over the next few months, this is exactly what they did. Recording commenced and continued through to its conclusion without incident. It is testimony to the imagination and resilience of Radiohead that such a strained creative process could produce such a breathtaking album. The Bends has many highlights, but probably the most unique statement is made on the opening track, Planet Telex. With its odd groove, Planet Telex provides an immediate indication that the new album is a departure from the old days of Creep. The vocals were recorded in a slightly unconventional fashion, thanks largely to the fact that the studio chef was feeling unwell that day. As there was no catering available at the studio, Radiohead were given £100 by the record company to go and eat in a restaurant where they ended up drinking a few bottles of wine. The entourage returned to the studio and decided to continue work on Planet Telex. Armed with a bottle of wine, Tom lay down and in one take recorded the slightly slurred vocals that exist today. Other songs such as Just, with its unusual promotional video, Fake Plastic Trees and Street Spirit, show the quality of songwriting that undeniably set Radiohead apart during this period. The Bends had taken nearly a year to complete and almost resulted in the breakup of the band. But once it was released, it earned them an unquestionable respect from the public and industry insiders alike. In many ways, the album served to confirm three important things: that Radiohead were original, that they were very good, and that they were nothing to do with Britpop. The five knew that they had recorded a very special album, but felt concerned as to how the seriousness of the music would be received. They had already been disappointed when BBC Radio 1 deemed the first single from the album, My Iron Lung, to be too raucous for their playlist. But they breathed a massive sigh of relief when NME hailed the Bends the rock album of the year, and Q magazine described it as a record of frighteningly good songs. For the album's cover, they used a picture of a hospital resuscitation dummy merged with an image of Tom. They had intended to use a picture of an iron lung, but couldn't find one suitable. The overall effect impressively supports the mood of the album. This, along with the rest of the sleeve design, goes to show the meticulous detail employed by Radiohead to ensure that the overall package is as much a thought-provoking art form as it is a collection of great songs. Most of 1995 was spent touring the new album. and the frenzied live performances seemed to just get better and better. The combination of Tom's manic delivery, Johnny's bizarre use of the guitar, and the steadfast rhythm laid down by Ed, Colin and Phil provided the audiences with an awesome and unique experience. It seemed as if the bends had caused a massive swell of support for Radiohead. The album reached number 6 in the UK charts and proved that there was an audience for music of this power and intensity. Predictably, on the other side of the Atlantic, sales of the bends were not as high as they had been for Pablo Honey, but this was largely because they forgot to add a version of Creep.